What is going on, guys? This is a critical update if you believe in Eskimos, Father Christmas, Greenland, the planet of Narnia. I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of icy weather on crypto. Bitcoin dropped about 4%, and the crypto total market cap has also capitulated by 4%. If you go back to Sunday in our Discord, right, this was literally, I said our boy could be dropping some bombs, whether it's on Iran, whether it's on Greenland, doesn't really matter, of course. And I gave out alerts last week saying that this is the week ahead and we are going to expect some turbulent things. Of course, the threat of tariffs could equally work the other way because the Supreme Court is going to make a decision on that. So do not listen. Monday, bank holiday. Tuesday, no major news except this war. Trump speaks, of course, on Wednesday. Thursday, major GDP release. Friday, service PMI. I provided this information back on of course, few days ago. We've also launched, and I am actually in the final stages of launching this really good AI dashboard, which is going to be quite amazing. But listen, despite the fact that Bitcoin is looking to break this trend, if it does, well, equally, it is actually oversold rather. So I'm expecting a reversal from here. If we don't hold this trend line, if you look at this, I did say back in November 21st, we had the bottom candle. And I think that is that, guys. Do not be overly scared. Listen, even if the prices come down, if you look at this period, right, this was our macro low purely because of the fact that this was the one candle that represented the maximum volume, of course, the most sales, the most volumes for the entire 12 months of 2025. So this is a significant candle. If we hold around above $85,000, we're still in a good place to continue. So don't just give up yet. I do expect the market to come down, be more volatile, maybe touch this 84, maybe test this again. However, I think this still has to be a major psychological level of $80,000 in some change, right? However, we talked about a few key projects and we are going to look at these right now. The first one of these is none other than Bittensor TAO. And I'm going to give you some levels to accumulate TAO around. I mean, the current level is amazing. The current level is absolutely amazing because it's going to come back and retest this level, $200. If you see TAO below $200, the only psychological level you need to worry about is TAO short-term holding $160. If it does, then you are good to go. I think these are brilliant range prices. So I would expect heavy accumulation in the community if they so choose to be in Bittensor TAO. This is an absolute multi-generational coin that you should be setting your alarms on. Right, 24-hour range, 234 to 255, bit elevated. If you want to, I have enough TAO now. I've been accumulating this for donkeys. So my average is getting better all the time. It's down 69%. All-time high came almost 2 years ago. It is a fundamental coin. So what we do is level 1, Bittensor TAO. I would accumulate more TAO at around this level. This level is good for me. If, however, TAO does go below $200, then I'm going to tell you what levels you should be bidding on. So if we look at this, historically, TAO comes down, of course, gets massive demand. Now, this demand zone is from where we are pretty much now. We're going to touch this, right? But if we come into this demand zone, do not expect this to break. If it does break $160, then I'm going to get TAO around $125 to about $100. It's not going to happen. I think a strong reversal is likely because historically you cannot bet against the real absolute data when it comes to Bittensor TAO. So that's your coin number 1. And of course, I am going to DCA into that come rain or shine. Coin number 2 is your none other than Kaspa. Now, Kaspa is finding itself a niche within the whole crypto bill structure, something that I expect to be passed at a token or a coin that has slid down to this level. Now, this is going to be a massively key level for cents. If Kaspa holds that, I think it's good. If it breaks that, then I think we could see slightly lower price. But Kaspa is the fastest proof of work coin out there. I think Kaspa will be a generational coin, of course. And when you have in the short term, an order block coming around 3.5 cents or 3.7 to about 3 cents is the level I'm watching. You break that demand box and you're shooting all the way down to about that 1 cent mark. Again, extremely overbought, very, very cheap. It's basically, if you read some of the legislation that will be passed, by the way, the industry is making a lot of nonsense about the Clarity Act not getting through. That will be passed. It's one of my predictions for 2026. They just have to negotiate. Banks don't want it. And if you want to know what I've said about that, well, I've put the Clarity Act latest in the Discord, so you can actually check it out. It is a pretty significant document. Of course, this is basically what the problem is here. They don't want to have stable coins or crypto as basically interest, right? So this is where we are being screwed right now, participating in financial services relating to this. So this is going to be quite key. And what I've said here specifically is that further to the previous Clarity Act commentary, Clarity Act will not be allowed, will not allow crypto companies to pay interest in stable coins, right? So that there you have it. Again, you know, we've been posting relentlessly in the Discord, Trump at Davos as well, and everything is there. You know, this massive slide that we're seeing now, we predicted this on Sunday, and one of the things I said was very clearly that we are going to see, apart from the tariffs as well, Supreme Court could nuke all of this. So don't be afraid, right? Do not be as afraid as everyone is making it out to be. We've seen worse. We've survived worse. And again, this is going to be a battleground, a psycho-off between NATO and, of course, the United States. And this is what we're going to see in terms of what's happening. So I'm going to continue with the coins. So Kaspa is your coin number 2. Coin number 3 to keep your eyes, ears, and everything else locked on is none other than Sui. Now, the thing about Sui is I still feel like at $1.50 is still elevated because of the market cap, right? And we have obviously made a presentation about the Sui problem that we've had recently about the outage. However, make no mistake about it, Sui has one of the best opportunities to make multi-million-dollar life-changing money when it comes to the ecosystem. If you've missed the boat, I think we've got an average of around 70. I have an average of about $70. Of course, if things go crazy, could sell half of the bag. Of course, all-time low here, 36 cents over 2 years ago. I'm a little bit above that. However, this is going to be a generational coin. And the way big money acts is they rotate around big coins. So don't ignore it. Keep this on your bear market hit list. Wherever we are, whatever we're going through, I don't care. I want to send my great grandchildren free of chains in the year 2030. Right? Even some of the kids in my nuts will be free. That's how bad it is, and their offspring. So, new website, complete refresh. Of course, this is something that is going to be absolutely essential. Again, not just the UI, but they are working on gaming. This is a completely new look and feel to Sui. Of course, AI, institutional markets, gaming, decentralized finance. And that's the new look Sui. Now, of course, within that infrastructure, do not ignore the likes of Bluefin, right? DeFi built different. They will see money flow, guys. You know, if you're scared right now from either looking into these or or exploring the ecosystem, the ecosystem is pretty cheap. You know, you've got good, decent altcoins on there. So again, despite what anyone says, when the layer one sees action, so will the ecosystem. Number 3 is Zebec. Zebec is a non-negotiable RWA play. It is a tiny RWA play at $200 million or 286, 13 million in volume. It's not just RWA. This is an RWA and DePIN play. They are just attending Davos today. That's how serious they are. Zebec at Davos. Now, the price is way more strong than some of the other altcoins. If you look at the pattern, this it came out of nowhere. And if it breaks a support over here, which I don't think it will anyway, but I'll just give you some hopium, 002357, then we could have a slightly, better DCA price. But this is cheap because of the market cap. And what they are is essentially a provider of physical payment terminals and, of course, real world services. And they've just recently attended the huge, they're in bed with the World Economic Forum, guys. Not partnership, but they are attending Davos, right? So that is pretty good. Partnership with World Liberty Finance, non-negotiable. Of course, in the Discord, you will find a section that talks about why it's important to consider profits based on the recent tilt towards stablecoins, RWA, of course, and prediction markets. So that's going to be your coin number 3 or 4. So we so far talked about TAO, Sui, Kaspa. Okay, we're going to talk about the other ones, the other layer ones. Now, most of you would say does nothing in terms of the ecosystem. And you could be right. I haven't seen a ton of developers rush in here. The developers, that's one thing. The hype is completely something different. Say has launched or will be accelerating their GigaSay. Okay. Now, once they do that, of course, Canary Capital will potentially end up, or they have stake ETF industry press. There's a press release over there, and of course, they filed a registration statement with SEC for staked say. Now, these are very early stages, but in my opinion, this is a darling for VCs. In terms of their everyday usability, the ecosystem, all of that still needs to pick up, but they do have massive active addresses and a relatively decent TVL. So far, AOS, Aether, Alchemy Pay are some of the projects you might be familiar with, but this one is $700 million market cap. $700 million market cap. If we get to see below, if it breaks 10 cents, in my opinion, I do believe then we may see the candle or the lows around 8 cents potentially. But this will be the lowest volume ever recorded in a long time. 40 million, just $40 million for a fast layer one. Keep your eyes and ears on that. The next token is one that no one talks about, but it is the MON token. In other words, you are buying MON below the introduction or the early seed prices. Monad is a fast EVM compatible layer one, brand new Coinbase launch, very much undervalued. And so far it is just come into a bear market. They've delayed it as much as they could. Extremely useful for DeFi. Great TPS. And what I like about this, I'm not going to lie, it's just the opportunity to pick up a layer one sub $200 million. Yes, the fully diluted is big. Of course, here you see the FDV, the trading volume is actually way better than, for example, Say. So this will be another coin that I recommend highly to DCA. Of course, if it comes down some more, I don't mind. It is down 10% for the last 30 days. And I do believe the initial launch price was around 2.5 cents. So right now, 29% from all-time high, right? Next, what I'm going to give you will be my main meme coin for the long term, and that will be Toshi. It just doesn't come down enough. Like, I want to buy some more. I can't get enough of this, right? I want to buy some more Toshi, of course, and I would love to see Toshi come down even more, because I'm telling you now, if they're going to make Coinbase's meme casino attract everyone, I think the chances are buying something like this would be absolutely insane, and it will attract tons of normies into the ecosystem, of course, Toshi Tools and others. Now, it's still 125 million market cap, almost the same market cap as Monad, and I would watch that very, very carefully. The next one I'm going to give you is a bit of it's a project that I spoke about previously, and it concerns the privacy narrative. This is a proof of work layer 1 blockchain with privacy in Kai Network. Now, when Kai Network was coming out a couple of years ago, I was actually one of the first YouTubers to talk about this, make videos about it. And of course, since then, I bought and sold some. But this is it had a recent run that was incredible. Now, what's been driving Kai Network is this functionality for privacy. They are rated as a privacy blockchain. $61 million market cap, of course, high risk in terms of this list, but Kai Network, nevertheless, is one that had a parabolic run from the bottom and now just still under 10 cents, still under $100 million market cap, still has a decent volume in terms of trading, and still on smaller exchanges. Keep your eyes and ears for this one. The next one I'm going to give you is a privacy layer 3 built on Base. Now, this is, in my opinion, one of the giant sleepers for the privacy narrative. The privacy narrative will continue, in my opinion, and of course, Coinbase will be bidding on this. Now, one of the reasons why privacy is important is because as more and more institutions come into the market, people need to be more private, especially with the bankers rolling in. And that's very, very key. One of the statements I made about the last post I made regarding this particular narrative is because privacy ecosystems allow us to not only shield the transactions, but the original idea of Bitcoin has changed now, right? Banks are coming in more and more. So for that particular reason, I would suggest, and again, we have an entire section in our Discord which is dedicated to privacy. And if you're in there, also check out what I've put in today. Privacy narrative. And one of the things that we honestly, recently, because I don't know if you know this headline, but Dubai has banned the use of privacy tokens, right? So that's the risk you run. However, right, here's the thing. In my research, what we have is regulatory backlash, on-chain monitoring becomes more sophisticated, institutional rotation, and technological shift. Now, of course, if you are a true believer of freedom of crypto, right, then the rise of banks within crypto is a big problem. So assets like Starknet, Oasis Network, Aztec, Secret Network, you've got privacy coins. So they split into two, basically, privacy coins and privacy blockchains. So coins are things like Monero, Zcash, Horizon in Zen, or Dash. And what basically the difference between them is the privacy blockchains are entirely designed from the ground up with privacy core focus. Whereas privacy coin are basically designed to work at the transaction level, right? So, sender, receiver, a mix of privacy that can be activated. So this will be a token or a coin to watch if you're in privacy. It is $178 million market cap, $55 million trading volume. And the main aspect there is an OG with very good tokenomics, of course. I think it's about 21 million. and 17 million are circulating. But for Coinbase, I'll be watching Zen. Okay. Next one is a gaming project. Now, Beam, for me, should be a layer one cryptocurrency that would or should be actually the best or one of the best gaming projects if we ever see gaming come back. Now, this is an asymmetric, very risky bet. And of course, with the Beam treasury of $200 million, with a mix of AI and other deployments that they have there, it is absolutely imperative for anyone who's serious about crypto to look at these guys. Now, in the short term, they may not be doing anything spectacular, but in the long term, I think if there is a gaming narrative and where it is right now at $160 million market cap, fully diluted, 145, and of course, 51 million, or sorry, only 6 million in terms of 24-hour trading volume. This is not a narrative to mess about with, only for those with big cojones. Next one would be DePIN, and I would look at Arweave, right? Arweave for me is the most undervalued of the DePIN or large tokens with fully circulating overall tokenomics, and Arweave would be one for you to consider if you're looking for a DePIN. Of course, the likes of Ether, which have inflation, Filecoin are also decent, but I'm looking at Arweave long term to see if this will explode, because of the fact that if the laws come in to the way we expect them in terms of decentralization, in terms of tokenomics design, and of course, this would be very, very high on the score list. 65 million circulating, and there's no dumpage. So Arweave is the one, or one of the top choices that I have. I do like Ether. Ether has very heavy inflation. Maybe perhaps if there's a lot of money flooding the market, Ether will be also very, very decent as well. And of course, people talk about the likes of ICPs and others, but $3, this takes me back to 2022, 2023 bear market lows. Okay. And we've got a couple of more, right? We've got a couple of more. So we've got, I'll probably do a separate video, so I don't want the video to run and run. So we talked about Zebec. We talked about, next we'll talk about Ondo Finance. Okay. Ondo is a layer one blockchain for TradFi. Now, they have the most ridiculous unlock. And this is why you're seeing the price capitulate. Now, market cap is absolutely 1.6 million. And I think it's 33 cents, right? Let this one cook, because this one now should, if this breaks that support, we should be getting generational buys for Ondo Finance. Make no mistake about it. Ondo Finance is the leader of this entire sector. Now, this one, I'm looking more up towards 2030 than I am anytime immediately, because of the fact that this tokenizes assets. And if you're getting in when the prices come down some more, I think you will be making generational money in Ondo Finance. But for me, Ondo Finance is not a coin for now. I think accumulating, researching, buying, all of those things could be done. But really, I'm looking at a couple of years, slightly longer. Let these, the market cap will double with the next unlock, right? So it gets better and better every day to wait for that pressure to come in, so you could actually capitalize on this. But this is an asset for the generations. In my opinion, I think Ondo, once they fully tokenize all of these stocks and TradFi money comes in, I think Ondo will be absolutely supreme. Okay, so that will be Ondo Finance. Now, we've given you RWA, we've given you gaming, we've given you DePIN, we've given you AI in TAO. I'll leave it there. Of course, there are more tokens that we can talk about, or coins, but let me know what you're holding. Let me know what you're bullish on. I've got tons of others that I will present to you in other videos. Smash a like as always, and see you on the next one.